Hello, wonderful humans. It is the Luscious Ladies Lunchtime live show, 1 o'clock Monday, and we are here with the amazing Jessica and Lucy. And today, we are talking about the biggest controversy that is on the TV at the moment. You can't miss it. You've read about it. We're going to hear about it all day long, and no doubt for a few weeks to come. Yes, we're talking masks. Should we or shouldn't we still keep wearing them? Apparently, Boris has decided that the British Medical Association, who he's been listening to, or rather sort of listening to when it suits him, throughout this whole pandemic, has decided he's going to ignore their advice and tell us all that we don't have to wear them anymore. So I know what my thoughts are on this, folks, but I'm not going to start with me. So who wants to dive in with their opinion on this? Go for it. Who's going to jump in?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who wants to dive in with the opinion? Now, okay, so my opinion on it is I get that there's a medical kind of thing, but then how many of those masks are actually working depending on what they're actually made of and all that kind of stuff as well. And I hate them. I really hate them. Really hate them, like with a passion. Like I went on the train not that long ago to Manchester, and oh wow, I thought I was going to pass out. I didn't realize how professionals survive with wearing them all day. So I am pretty much on a whole, I really want to get rid of them. It's like my only thing. It's like get rid of the masks. But I always wondered, controversially, because they kind of introduced the masks at the same time as the social distancing and a couple of other things, like how much evidence is there that they work, or is it just because everything was bundled together, if you know what I mean? That's I die.
Well,
it's a query.
I'll dive in on that one shortly. Yeah. But what about you, Lucy? So Jessica, you're all for getting rid of the masks because they're pretty awful and you can't breathe. Right?
Yeah, I just find it.
Yeah.
I just find it. Sorry, I was just going to say. So I just find it as well. So we've had this because I'm larger as well. So I obviously also have this whole stairs and all this kind of stuff. Can be like I'm not quite as fit as I probably should be. That also doesn't help when you're when you've got a mask on. It really can be a bit like, whew. And if I take it off, I'm like, this is weird. I can do stairs, but with it on, it's like I can't.
Well, makes sense, doesn't it? Because your body needs to take in fresh oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide, and the two bits that are responsible for that are being covered up. So, that does kind of make sense. So, Lucy, what are your thoughts and feelings on get rid of the masks or not make them comfortable?
I'll be honest. I just think they're so dirty though as well, because we all. I don't know if you don't put a fresh one on each time, because half of the time I forget that I need it, and then I'm like, where's my mask? And then the one what I had to put on yesterday had lipstick on it, and I was just like, oh my word, it doesn't do great. It's not great for your lipstick, is it?
I wonder what lipstick sales have gone on happened. It's just like that part of the face makeup is just like
and you can't recognize, literally, right? I was in a pub last night, and Susan, who I've known since I was this big, she actually even came up right here. She went, you don't recognize me, do you? And I'm like, I really did not recognize it, even when she was that close to my face because of a mask.
Wow.
I didn't recognize her.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because people definitely do look different when half your face is covered up.
There's quizzes. People do quizzes for that reason, aren't they? Just who is this celebrity? Just don't know. Without the rest of their face.
Yeah, it is quite handy though when you're trying to ignore somebody though, isn't it? No, don't do that. But no, they're awful. No, I just don't get what they do. They're just the most unhygienic things, and no. And I don't know if anybody's listening from school. I don't get why we need to put them on when we're picking the kids up from school, I'll be honest.
Yeah, because you're in close proximity with other adults from different households that are not a part of yours, and so you don't know. And I think the issue that we've got is that no one fully understands just what masks are doing or have done. And what we're not being told, because there's been a lot of information out there, but a lot of it is available on the internet, and you have to want to go and search for it. And a lot of people are not going to want to do that. So they're just going to listen to what's being fed to them from the news or what they see on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But we do know that since we were enforced mask wearing in this country, our incidence of other viruses has decreased significantly. So does that mean that overall they've been helpful in terms of the fact that the medical profession are not having to deal with the usual influx of stuff that they would normally have to deal with on top of COVID? Yeah, absolutely. They've made a difference. But as you said, some masks are better than others. And the more we're getting into the science of which masks are better than others, the more we're finding out more and more information. And if you said, Lucy, as well, people are not wearing new ones. So they're wearing ones that might be days old or even weeks old for some people. It's just like, oh, it's been in my coat pocket for God knows how long. And so we don't know exactly how much help they are making. But here's the thing. If we are going to be in a situation where they've already seen that events like the football are mass spreaders and everyone was not wearing masks and in close proximity, then it's kind of a bit ludicrous, in my opinion, to not insist that in big events like that, where there's a lot of folk in close distance for a reasonable length of time, that it's just, isn't it common sense to wear it? That's my thoughts.
I think it's like, as well, I think you're right in the sense of it's locational or situational, isn't it? It's like situational when you kind of do it. I mean, but then I guess because everything that I go out and do is always just so kind of like quick, and it's always in those places that I get really hot and bothered and I'm trying to do something that makes me kind of really go, I did get it off, kind of do. But I mean, I did a wedding fair for my mum a week or so ago, and the downside of masks, which I completely didn't even think about because I haven't had to deal with that, was I couldn't understand a word that people were saying because I couldn't see their mouths. Right. And I was just going, yeah, right. You need to speak really loud to get it up and over the mask so I can hear you. And I hadn't even thought about that, like all those kind of other little things that kind of go with it. It's just
there's a lot of things that you have to consider. I absolutely agree, because if you're somebody who lip reads, well, you haven't got a cat and house chance, have you?
No.
If people are wearing masks, and I know that in some of the coffee shops people have to shout. You feel like going, do you want a megaphone, love, so that you can actually hear through the plastic glass and through their mask and the coffee machine and everything else that's going on in the background, that you're repeating the same order like 5 times before they've heard it. But you have to kind of go along with what we've seen in other countries who, let's face it, there are other countries that have had to deal with viruses that are not quite the same level, but close as this, like SARS, for example, right? And so Asia and China have been wearing masks since SARS broke out, right? Now, there's obviously a reason for that. And they've gotten used to the idea that when you're out in public, where you're likely to come across people that you don't know, and we don't know anything about the people who are leaning over our shoulders in a supermarket or are standing next to us because they want to move you faster. You just don't know, even if they've had the jab, even if they are not ill, they can still carry it. And what we do know is, and viruses mutate. That's what viruses do. That's why everybody knows this. Even if they don't know, they know it. You do know it because we have a different flu jab every year, right? We wouldn't need to do that if the virus didn't mutate. So all viruses mutate. They get cleverer, they get cleverer, and they get cleverer, right? Yeah. So it just means that more variants will appear if we don't take the same measures for a reasonable length of time. And what every doctor is saying is, it's a no-brainer. They want their people to keep wearing the masks. If you're going to a doctor's surgery and you've got a pregnant woman, you've got somebody who's having cancer treatment, and you've got somebody else who's got bronchitis or a cold, do you really want to be in that environment where everybody is openly coughing and spluttering and snotting and whatever else they're doing? Without masks? And the doctor, do you want to see a doctor who's seen all of those different people and then is talking to you? Because I certainly don't.
Oh, hey.
Definitely. Look at that. It's a definite different perspective. Mine's a comfort one. Yours is saving the nation.
But yeah, that's because of my job. That's because of where my kind of alignment is. But yeah.
Yeah, Vicky, you know your stuff. Wow.
But it is a difficult one because I absolutely agree. I don't like wearing it. I absolutely hate wearing it. And I do feel all hot and bothered. When we were out yesterday on our non-strawberry picking trip, as soon as we were out of the environment, they insisted you had a mask. I took it off straight away. I was in the fresh air. I wanted to breathe. I didn't want it around my ears because it starts hurting your ears after a while if it's too tight, and all of that. So I absolutely do get the arguments against, but I also think that in the same breath that people don't want masks, they're going to be the same people who are moaning when we're locked down again. And I can see it. And I'm sorry to be a doom and gloom person, but I can see it. The doctors are already saying it if this goes ahead. So do we, for the sake of everybody feeling a bit happier and freer, for a few months, go, yeah, no, it's really, really worth it. Let's all infect everybody again so we can get locked down again. In my head, that's bonkers. That's just what I think.
So it's interesting, isn't it, how like you see, as you said, like there was all those situations where like there was thousands of people like all round and all kind of together, and I still didn't understand any of that anyway. Like, how come that was all okay and we still can't have like weddings with like more than like 30 people who you know, so you know where they've been, where they're coming from, and like, you know, and yeah, wearing them. I don't know. I think
it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, if it's left to people's discretion, there are going to be people who I think will use common sense and decide for themselves what they want to do for the best.
Is it more personal?
But then if that's, and this is, sorry, I'm going to go off on one again now, but if that's Boris's stance that we should take personal responsibility for looking after our again, can we please teach people how to take responsibility for looking after their immune system so they don't end up in frigging hospital with it? How about looking after your health so that you can handle an illness? Because all of the people who are in hospital have underlying health issues. And before you rant and rave that, well, the TV said they didn't have any, they did. Everybody does.
There has to be something there.
Right? If you're not sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night, you've got underlying health issues. If you're not balancing your blood sugar levels, you've got underlying health issues. If you're under stress, I think that's everybody. You've got underlying health issues, right?
Stress.
So please don't fool the nation that people who are in hospital have no underlying health issues. They do. If you live in the UK or the Western world, you're exposed to chemicals and toxins. You do, which means that we're all opening ourselves to it. And we need to teach the world, how to look after ourselves from an immune point of view. And that means not eating shit food. It means sleeping and reducing stress. And if you're somebody who's stressed about going out because there's a load of people without masks, that's not going to help your immune function.
That's another thing, isn't it? Like when you get kind of stressed out being in public. I've realized that the bigger the crowd now, the more I kind of get a bit like sort of anxious about it, when I never probably did before. So it's a bit, it's like, that's a really weird feeling. It's like, oh, too many people in here, I'm all right outside. Or, you know, you kind of, go. But
have you found that, Lucy, that people are a bit like, they want to be in a group, but they don't want to be in a big group?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm probably going in situations where we've got big groups of people, and that's then their choice to be. Because if you're invited to a party, we've been out this weekend, we've partied a lot. So I've been in a situation. I've been in places where there's been a lot of people, but then that's my choice. I'm quite comfy with it. I'm probably really laid back on it. I'll be honest, it doesn't bother me.
You are somebody who looks after your health.
Yes.
Right. And exactly.
Yeah. So no, I'm quite comfortable with the whole thing. And I think because I see the happy side of it, I see people having a great time, which then just absolutely lights me up. I did 3 shows on Saturday, and that is what I used to do 18 months ago. And it's like that. Stuart saw me walking in on Saturday from doing 3 shows, and I'm like, get in there, I'm back in the room, I'm back driving like a nutter to get from where A to B, because I'm like, I had like not a second to spare because these shows were bang, 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 one after another. And that's what I used. That's the adrenaline and what I used to work on, of getting from one place to another, having a wicked time, leaving them with that magic, on to the next one, on to the next one. And I mean, today I'm not suffering. Today I'm worn out because, and it always has that effect. When I've been.
So was everybody wearing masks in the places that you were then, or were most people not?
2 of them was outside, so it was the kids. There were no parents there. Parents didn't stay. Dead good, you know what? It was a lovely house in. I can't remember where it was now because it was Saturday and I've slept. But anyway, panicking because it was raining, and I'm like, just go with the flow. Kids are not bothered. They will wear an anorak. It's you who's bothering about the rain. So literally, I put my magical tent up. We partied in the tent. The sun came out, but the parents dropped them off, and the parents were really good when they were picking them up. They were social distancing, picked the children up, and the messages what I've had. She just said that it was just amazing. Just the kids had the time of their life. I'll be honest. And then on to the next one was a christening. But no, that was
interesting. A christening.
Yeah, christening. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a christening, or was it just a first birthday party? It might have been a first birthday party, to be honest.
It's interesting inviting a clown to a christening. That's a new one.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that's an interesting thing. I missed out. Maybe I'll have to have another one just for that. No.
Yeah, no, I do loads of christenings, loads of christenings. And then my third one was somebody's back garden. Yeah. And then we had a hen do as well on Saturday. So it was just amazing seeing everybody. We've got the wedding in 2 weeks. The baby.
So that's interesting then. So the bride and none of the people will have to wear masks if this all goes ahead then.
Right. Okay.
Is that right? Because I have to say that's one thing. If you've got married throughout this, you got your wedding photos for life, haven't you? With a mask on. Which, yeah, I can kind of see that that's not really what. Although it's a good idea to have them all redone, isn't it?
So it's like Mr. and Mrs. on there. That's a good idea, though. Yeah, like just have Mr. and Mrs. They have to be like marked up and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I would safely say that between us, we're kind of like we can see the pros and cons. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people who will be very firmly on one side or the other. And there you go. I think we just.
Ernie's been popping. Do you know Ernie at Vicky? I'm sure you do. And Jessica, do you know Ernie?
No.
The storyteller.
Sorry. No, enlighten me about Ernie.
Ernie's on 4N. Ernie Boxall. No? Oh, you'll have seen him on there.
I'm rubbish with names though, so
I'm not. It's not lighting any bells. Me, Jessica, and I just go.
Oh well, he's been putting some comments in. And he's put feeling intimidated.
I'm like, oh no, that's not the plan, Ernie.
He's got a laughing face. Or has COVID merrily covered the flu?
Yeah, because flu didn't really happen.
It didn't appear, did it?
Because of the mask wearing and the social distancing and the washing of hands, and you know that stuff's kind of like it is a no-brainer. It absolutely is. Why we stopped washing hands years ago, like we did, I have no idea. But when you were at school, do you remember being taught, especially infant school, you were all told before lunch, go and wash your hands.
Go and wash your hands.
Yeah. When you came in from break, go and wash your hands. You just used to do it. Your mum would remind you to go and wash your hands if you've been playing out or whatever. But somehow, somewhere along the line, we seem to have lost the plain ancient skills of looking after ourselves, including washing our hands.
Yeah. Do you always wonder about that though, like with how, because someone was telling you to go and do it, so if as soon as you get to that age where people go, right, actually you should be getting off your arse and learning and doing these things that having to be pushed for, you know, like the whole brushing the teeth, kids, have you done it? Oh no.
Well, you'd hope that by the time you get older, you'd kind of do it because that's how we get brainwashed into learning.
The habits. The habit.
I mean, most of us, I hope, still brush our teeth.
It's like going, it's just like trying to, but it's one of those things though, isn't it? You're just thinking like, you know, 21 days to make a habit, but you're thinking you've been telling the kids this for like, you know, as you say, like 7 years.
Yeah, that's a complete myth, by the way, the 21 days to make a habit.
Is it?
Yeah, total myth. It's one sentence taken out of context. It's bollocks. But anyway,
that'll be next week, because I'll be like, oh, interesting.
but that's an interesting example of quotes that are repeated and repeated that are not correct in the context that they're being used, but then people then believe them and the whole meaning gets changed. And this is why people get so confused about facts and non-facts that are out here in the ether of
every
internet land.
It's like every fact needs to come with a proviso. It's like, this is a fact, but like, you know.
Yeah, think how many sentences are quoted from famous people incorrectly. And yet the incorrect quotes are repeated and repeated until people will then argue that that's correct. It's like, it's freaking well not. It's like Chinese whispers, isn't it?
Trying to fit it in a box. Like, you can grab something of a paragraph, go, well, that fits my box, but the rest doesn't, so we'll cut that off with the dot and it's like not important, and
absolutely.
Get rid of it.
But this is where people get so kind of on their high heels about arguing about this stuff, and you just kind of go, but what's your source? Go and have a look at where it actually comes from, and then come back and argue.
See, I always have to do that, because I must admit, I can't stand it. If I put a quote somewhere, I do try and make sure I've actually gone back to the source of where that came from. And the same with anything that I would do, like a fact or an information. I have to have one or two at least of like, okay, these are genuine, well-known kind of people who've done research on this that will say this. Right, good. Keep that with a link and everything, like links in my thing. So if anyone says anything, I'm like, okay, I agree with that, but you know.
Absolutely. It is so true. But one thing we can all agree on is that being outside in nature is most excellent for body, mind, and soul. So tell us about your trip out on Friday, Jessica. I want to know.
Oh my God. I know, we put this in because of like, so I did my forest bathing. I did my forest bathing.
Did you get naked? We all want to know that.
I know, did we get naked? No, didn't get naked. Sorry, it was not a naked thing. It was amazing though, and interestingly enough, I was speaking to Sonia, who runs them afterwards, and I had to say to her, sort of like slowly behind the scenes, I said to her, has anyone ever told you that you get quite a sensual experience from this? And she was like, no. I was like, I did. I literally was feeling the ferns, kind of going, oh, I could have sex in the forest. I get this, like outside of nature. I'm like walking around, like stroking everything, like, because we did this it was actually really weird to start with, but it ended up, so you basically traveled what she said would take a minute if you just to walk it, but in 30 minutes. So you had to look at everything. But honestly, by having her there and having her create this space and then just kind of going, it's okay to do this and like just stroke and do things, I was like, this is actually quite sensual. I was like going, this is quite an interesting kind of like reaction. And we all had to build something with nature. And I didn't show mine off to everyone else because I wasn't sure about the audience there of my 8 people. But I did.
Phallic, was it, Jeff?
Yeah, I did make a clitoris out of twigs and a pine cone and some flowers. So I was just like, I'll keep meaning to put it on my Instagram. But I was really, this is so interesting. But you know, when people tell you these things all the time, and it's just another one of those proofs that you just have to explore and try these things yourself. Yes, I know, and it's a tick thing, but until you do it, until you really get out there, it's a completely different ball game.
That's what we were talking about last week, isn't it? There's knowing, and then there's knowing. By actually having that experience and knowing what it feels like for you. And your experience being aligned actually with what you do. And that does not surprise me that you said that you found it quite erotic, because it just makes sense, because we're just connecting back to our raw selves, aren't we? When we're out in nature.
Exactly. It was like proper, like, you know, taking the time and like really like, you know, connecting in that. And I was just like going, should maybe do these, get people out and about with me, like to have an essential forest experience.
But is that kind of, when you think about it, I mean, I really don't know about this, so tell me, you know, is this how kind of naturists kind of, and like, well, you see them going caravanning out in nature and on the beach and stuff, is that same kind of idea about being completely at war, naked in nature? It's natural.
How we came out. It was, you know, it's how, you know, and it is that, again, it's the touch, isn't it? It's the touch things of everything to be able to do it. And it's the skin on skin, and it's one of the biggest like organs, and it's one of the biggest the spaces on your body. And it's always missed off because it's always just like, oh, sex, oh, genitals, you know, all this kind of stuff, boobs, all that kind of stuff. But actually, just literally running it across the back of my hand was like, hello, hello. And it was just that, you know, and it's things like that. And I think absolutely, I think going and like kind of being in those spaces and knowing that you can be obviously naked in those spaces, because, you know, if we did it in the forest the other day, I probably would have been told off. But you
have you ever gone on a nudist beach?
Do you know what? I haven't. I know. And I've got a bucket list of a few things to go and do. There was a festival that I was trying to go to a couple of years ago, and then all this kind of habit was meant to be last summer. And that again was like kind of one of those you know, tent set up, but it was very you know, we're naked a lot of the time, and just seeing what happens and all that kind of stuff, and like in nature, and like doing yoga naked and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know, I can see the appeal, like more and more.
I'm not sure I fancy naked yoga, to be fair. Well, unless you're at the front.
No, I fancy naked yoga.
Or the back. Do you mean the front?
Well, if you're the person stood at the front.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure that I'd want to be looking at a sea of, especially, you know, certain poses if you're holding them.
I thought you meant like if I'm doing it, I want people to see me, I'll be at the front.
No. I just meant I would be behind a load of people in down dog for a long period of time.
No. Not on that one.
No, not feeling that one.
Lucy, you asked that question. Have you been to a nudist beach? So have you?
No.
Oh.
Would you?
No. Pardon?
Would you?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it's my bag, to be honest. No, I don't know. No.
A quandary on that one.
No.
It's like, you know, I think it's. We were doing that when we chatted about that last week. Is that little thing of like kind of when you're in a world, you do kind of like naturally kind of lean to that way. So I'm more connected with my like sexuality in a way, because I've like been doing so much work on it, and so that's why that experience became more sensual than it might have been. You know, it's not an automatic kind of go to a lot of people. So so like you kind of like, this is why like you have to kind of work your way up to so much of like, especially so much the work that I do with people, you have to work yourself up with it. I can't dive into it and kind of go, right, you know, let's
get in at the deep end.
Yeah, exactly. You have to kind of work that way up.
Which it makes sense.
Give me a year, Lucy, and you'll be going, yeah, I think a nudist beach would be the way to go.
You have to be, I think, in a kind of, well, it's like being with like-minded people no matter what you do, isn't it? That you've got to feel comfortable with the right people in that environment. And if you're with people who you don't really know, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know you, and I don't know what I'm doing here, and we're all worried about being judged, aren't we?
It's a body to be fair, it's a body confidence thing rather than anything else like that. And there's so much of our sexuality that is down to that rather than actual sex. It's like it's how we see ourselves, how we think other people are judging us, and all that kind of, you know, look that does it, I think, rather than actually being naked, you know, like when
you get rid of that judgment or what people think, then it's you realize, well, it was only my own worries, or it's not nobody else is that bothered. You who thinks that they're bothered, isn't it?
Always. I think that's always the case when it comes to any kind of body confidence, and even, you know, when it comes to what we do as work and our jobs, you know, we kind of worry about that external look. I'm sure you, with your outfit, Lucy, when you first did you know exactly what you wanted to wear for your clowning outfit, or did you mess about with different looks until you felt, well, this is me?
No, I've got loads of clown outfits in the loft, but now I just stick to my purple, my pink and purple one. So I just rebuy that. It's from America, but I normally get like one or two a year because they are very expensive. But I'll be honest, because I've not really been in it that as much. And some days I only get half ready. But no, back up.
But for you, I'm guessing that's a real important part of what you do. You've got to step into that persona, and putting the outfit on is key to that, isn't it?
It really is. When you put your clown outfit on, I turn into like a completely different person. It's mad. And then, but then at the weekend, because I play the saxophone really bad, and I had these 2 saxophone gigs, didn't I, on Friday night? But it was great because they were all trolleyed, so they didn't really know. They didn't notice that I cannot play Ibiza tunes. But I wear like this. I wear this sparkly coat, which is just amazing, and it gives you that confidence, doesn't it? Though I always think if you look the part, then you're halfway there, aren't you? My dad always used to say,
masks are for. It's like put on that. You're putting on that different.
Which then goes, so if you take all of that off and you are absolutely naked, you can see why people feel so uncomfortable and unsure of themselves on every level. The power of clothes.
Oh, hey, Vivian's saying love you. Oh, love you, Vivian. Vivian's had me on her doorstep for her granddaughter during the pandemic as well. So that was that. I think I might have been delivering some cakes.
Nice.
I know that I've done that one. I've done so much in the lockdown of different things of delivering cakes. Now I'm delivering sweetie cones. Now I've got Father Christmas with me. And it's just like, it just rolls. That's at least them are the good things what have come out of it all, though. You know, just doing things what you wouldn't have done.
Yeah, definitely.
Like well, looks like we're into another whole era of rolling with the next phase.
That's it. That's
rolling with the punches. Yeah.
So let's see what good old Boris has to say this afternoon then, and see. I mean, to be fair, I don't really think it's going to affect how I behave at this moment in time, one iota. But what about you guys? Will it affect your behaviour from now on, do you think? Or from the 19th? Because obviously the date makes all the difference.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what is the date? I'll probably lose track of what that date is again, thinking like we did last time. Just like, why is suddenly everyone not wearing? Why is everyone hugging in the streets? I don't understand what's going on. That kind of thing. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be like a play it by ear. I'm very much in the whole like, let's see. And I agree with you, Vicky, that there's going to be certain places that I probably feel I want to still keep them if I'm going to be really close to people who aren't who I don't know. But I'm not going to have to worry so much about, you know, remembering it on the school run, which I always forget it. And I'm like, awful. I like to stand right far back, like in the queue, and I'm sorry, can you throw him out? Like, sorry.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I hope that people who are watching on replay or on podcast or on YouTube or any of the other channels who want to comment, please do put hashtag replay and put your comments, questions to me, Lucy or Jessica about what we do. And of course, all of our information about how to find us and get in contact with us. If you want to just have a good old natter, then please do. The links will be above this video on the podcast and all over the place, really. Ladies, anything else to wrap up with that you want to leave people with?
Worry less, giggle more.
Love it.
Yes.
On that note, guys, thank you for listening. We have been your Luscious Lunchtime Ladies live, and we do hope that you'll join us again next week, same time, 1 o'clock every Monday. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.